to the podium in order that they are listed on the external agency roster provided via email earlier today. We do ask that you follow these guidelines when addressing the board. State your name, the name of the organization you represent, and the address your comments to the board as a whole. Please limit your comments to no more than 5 minutes. If you represent a group, you may want to recognize others in attendance or those agencies please present information related to their FY 2022 funding requests. At this time, I'd like to make sure everyone knows that in addition to Mr. Day and myself, Ms. Ayers and Mr. McDaniel will be participating electronically. So with that being said, we are ready to begin.
I would like to note the first three on the list we're not going to hear a presentation from. That's Consolidated Dispatch, Rockbridge Regional Jail, and the Shenandoah Valley Juvenile Center. We have representatives on those boards, and those budgets are not prepared to present just yet.
All right, thank you, Mr. Suter. So we appreciate everyone's flexibility. It's been a year since we've had our last external agency budget meeting, and certainly a lot has happened over the last 11 months. And so we appreciate you all being flexible enough to take part via Zoom. As Mr. Suter indicated, the first three organizations that are on the list that was sent out earlier today are not available. And so I know the fourth one that's listed is Rockbridge SPCA. I talked to Tara earlier this week, and she's got some previous commitments, so she will not be joining until probably 6:15. So with that, as I'm looking at the list, I don't see Judy Castile signed up for Project Horizon. So I'm going to look for Rockbridge Area Transportation System, either Chris Cartwright or Hattie Myers.
I have a Terry that just made a question and answer representing your applicants. Would that be?
Yes. Who was that again?
Terry's. So we ready for that? All right, Terry, we're gonna give you permission to speak now.
I might need to yell into the mic. Terry, you may need to unmute yourself, lower left.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
yes.
I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so my name is Terry Bazulak, and I am on the RATS Board of Directors. I'm the Vice President, so I cannot see myself, which is what I'm used to. So I hope that you can hear me okay.
We can.
Thank you. So first of all, we wanted to make sure that we thanked the Board of Supervisors in Rockbridge County for your prior support. Rockbridge Area Transportation System, like the county, has been hit hard in the past year, but we recognize that the county has supported us in the past, and we are greatly appreciative of that. So Rockbridge Area Transportation System has been in the community since 1995. Prior to COVID-19, we were on track to expand and grow our services, though this year has been extremely hard on our organization. Over this past year, Rockbridge Area Transportation System has been looking for additional ways to support the community. We tried a grocery pickup and delivery service, and we've been working with the City of Lexington school system to deliver lunches to the students that are unable to get to the school this year. We also continue to provide rides to as many Rockbridge County residents as possible. In the past year, RATS has provided rides for individuals to medical appointments, including dialysis as well as other medical appointments. We've been providing support for day support, people getting to work, to the grocery store, to run errands, to court appointments, and many out-of-town appointments. Funding received from Rockbridge County goes towards vehicle maintenance, operating costs, and towards the local match from state and federal grant funding. So we are requesting, again, the same amount that was requested last year, which was $13,500 that we received from the county last year. And that's all that I wanted to present, since I know that I needed to keep it short. So I don't know if I need to stay for questions or.
Terry, we appreciate your presentation. This is typically just an opportunity for agency representatives to communicate their request to the Board of Supervisors. What will happen, as Dr. Lyons mentioned earlier, if there's any questions that come up from board members during tonight's meeting, they will pass that along to staff, and then staff will reach out to the individual organization representatives for any answers. So Terry, we appreciate your time. You can certainly feel free to stick around if you want, but at this point, we're going to go ahead and transition to the next agency.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Terry.
Thank you.
And I just want to answer a couple questions that are coming on the question and answer. Initially, I'm just elevating, giving you microphone permissions, but if you'd like, I can promote you to a panelist if you want to be present on the video.
I think that's the board preference.
Yeah, it's the board's preference.
Okay, so next up on our list is Rockridge Area Community Services Board. And I'm looking for Kimberly Shaw or Michelle Mathis. And at this point, I'm not seeing them, so we'll go ahead and bypass that. So next up is the Department of Social Services and Comprehensive or Child Services Act. And we have Dinah Clark that I saw earlier. So I'm going to elevate to a panelist. And going to unmute. And Dinah, I don't know if you can hear us, but do you have
Hi.
camera? Do you have
I-
camera capability?
I do have, yes, I have camera capability, but I don't see myself. Can you hear me?
We can't hear you.
Okay. All right. And I think I have my, oh, wait a minute. Okay. There we go. Can you see me now? Okay. All right. Hi, I'm Dinah Clark, Director of the Rockridge Area Department of Social Services, and I'll be presenting tonight for the Department of Social Services as well as the CSA program, which is under the department itself. So the preliminary budget request that I am requesting from this Board of Supervisors, it does have an increase in our administrative budgets. Those increases pertain to a 2% raise for staff. Again, this is a preliminary budget. The governor has in his budget as well 1.5% increase for our staff. However, we will not know that budget until May. So that may be reduced to 0.5% of locally funded services. The other addition that I have included in the administrative budget this year is to upgrade our systems at the Department of Social Services. As many of you are aware, we're in an older building with older systems as far as security systems. Our timekeeping system, things of that nature are still back around in the 70s. So we would like to upgrade that and bring our staff up into the new age and give some more technology for our staff to use that is out there with some software programs. So with that, there is an increase in our administrative budget itself. The assistance of that administrative budget is a service driven. That has gone down at this time, but again, that is due to COVID and that could increase at any time. A service driven, so we're not sure about our assistance programs and if that will increase itself. The CSA department, I am asking for an increase of an additional $99,000 from last year. That increase, the child services again that is a service driven program. And that program at this time, you are serving approximately 100 children in that department. The foster care service of that department is down. However, your private day placement continues to be about the same, which is your education for children through the school systems and the private day placements such as Rivermont being one of those vendors. And that has increased as far as the number of children within that particular service, which can get very expensive throughout the month. Again, that's a service-driven program. So that is a program that we kind of estimate on based on the number of children that we are serving at this time, and then compare it to the budget of what you spent in 2020, which was a total of $3.5 million total. That, of course, is not the county share. That was the total of how many, the number that you served as far as the amount for the children itself. So I do appreciate you looking at this budget and taking to the fact of our agency and our employees and the increase that I've asked for. Is there any?
All right, Dinah, thank you for your presentation. We will now move you to attendee. And as I mentioned earlier, feel free to stick around or drop off.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Dinah. All right, next up is the Valley Program for Aging Services. And so I saw Laura Hottinger on here earlier, so let me go ahead and promote you to a panelist. And let's see here. There we go. Okay, Laura, we ask you to unmute. Oh, there you go.
Hello.
Hello, Laura.
Good evening. Hi, I'm Laura Hottinger. I'm the Director of Senior Services for Rockridge and Highland Counties. VPAS, of course, is the local area agency on aging, serving adults 60 and older in Rockridge County. Currently, of course, there's almost 40% of the population in Rockridge County is over 60 and has most significantly been impacted by the pandemic. VPAS's Meals on Wheels program has grown by over 30% since the pandemic began and is now serving the rural underserved communities of Goshen, Fairfield, Rockbridge Baths, and also South Buffalo. While in-person services at the Senior Center are on hold, we continue to provide Medicare insurance counseling, social programming by phone, mail, and internet, checking services during much of the pandemic, transportation to medical appointments outside of the county, homemaker services, and internet-based dementia education programs. When it is safe to reopen, we plan to open a new VPAS Cafe program in Goshen, as well as providing the senior programs that are already existing in Buena Vista and Lexington. Currently, we're working with the Department of Health to register local seniors for their COVID-19 vaccination, and we look forward to a fully vaccinated staff and volunteer force to help return senior services to the area later this year. Valley Program for Aging Services is grateful for Rockridge County's support to seniors in Rockridge County. We're requesting level funding for FY22. Do y'all have any questions?
All right. Thank you, Laura, for your presentation. There's no questions at this time. And so we will go ahead and move you to an attendee. And as I said, you can stick around if you'd like, but thank you for your time tonight, Laura. Appreciate it.
You're welcome, sir.
Just ask them to raise their hands so we can find them easier.
All right, so as we kind of move forward down the list, the recommendation from Stefan Janjic is that if you're on deck, if you wouldn't mind just kind of raising your hand so we can identify you. So for example, next up is Total Action for Progress. And so I'm looking for Annette Lewis, Kristen Moses, or Kimberly Caldwell. And at this point, I do not see them. I do not see them on the list. So we will go ahead and transition to Habitat for Humanity. And I saw Lynn was on here earlier. So give me just a moment, Lynn, to bring you to a panelist. And then,
Okay,
there we go. Okay, Lynn, we see you and we can hear you, so you're up. Thank you.
okay. And you can hear me because my speaker was acting up yesterday. I'm hoping you can hear me just fine.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Good evening, everyone, members of the board. I'm Lynn Johnson, and I'm the Executive Director at Rockbridge Area Habitat for Humanity. And first of all, I do want to say thank you to the board for the 2021 funding we received. Rockbridge Habitat is respectfully requesting $2,500 funding for 2022 to allocate to our repair program. This is a level request. We understand that there was 10% funding cut to the external not-for-profit agencies in the past budget year due to the pandemic crisis that has burdened all of us. And we're hoping, this year, we have high hopes as everybody, that this won't last for long. We are requesting this for our repair program. And it's grown quite a bit this year. The needs didn't go away with the pandemic. In fact, home became paramount to people, to have a home to go to where the roof wasn't leaking, et cetera. In our fiscal year 2020, over 94 cents of every dollar went directly to our programs of building new homes and repairing existing houses in Rockbridge area. Rockbridge Habitat has a well-established and very positive reputation for using its funds wisely and according with its mission. We do offer a hand up, not a handout, and we are a not-for-profit ecumenical Christian ministry that provides affordable housing solutions for low-income families in the Rockbridge area. Habitat helps meet Rockbridge County's need for low and moderate income housing. For our home building program, qualifying residents must demonstrate a need for better housing, have a steady income and the ability to repay a low interest subsidized mortgage, and be willing to partner with Habitat to build their home. As through sweat equity, they all put 200 hours per adult in the household into building their own home. So additionally, we are requesting this for our repair program. Through our repair program, the recipients make a copay based on their income. The repair program partners must earn less than 60% of the area median income and need critical repairs to their homes. But if they're unable to secure necessary funding through the conventional means, which is very much the case. The homeowners are asked to participate with our repair committee volunteers in the project, or to provide a lunch if they physically can't do that, whichever they're able to do. The repair program projects, with the repair program projects, Rockbridge Habitat is able to help 2 to 3 times the families than with our home builds alone. Our repair program helps create a great impact on even more families in Rockbridge County. And we find this is really growing. With the continued support from Rockbridge County, our Habitat affiliate has been able to grow our critical repair program exponentially in the past few years. In fact, the funding through Rockbridge County grant helped leverage a COVID emergency fund grant through Virginia Housing that Habitat was able to apply for, in part due to the sheer number of repairs we've completed in the past 3 years. This Virginia Housing grant made it possible for Habitat to help 2 area families, one in Natural Bridge Station and one in Fairfield, by replacing their roofs, which were leaking and beyond mere repair. So these were large projects which would have been beyond our scope. With our budget and our normal capabilities, we're able to help 2 families stay in their home. Excuse me, this screen. So in closing, we're looking forward to a year of health and growth. And again, thank you for your time and your consideration of our 2022 grant request.
All right. Thank you, Lynn. We appreciate your time.
Thanks, Steve.
Click on the panels. She dropped off.
Change to it. Okay. Okay, so next up is the Blue Ridge Legal Services. And so we have John Whitfield. And so we are bringing John up to the panelist role, and we'll be starting the video and sound momentarily.
Hello.
John, are you, there you go.
Here we go.
We got,
Here we go. Technology. Hi, everybody. I'm John Whitfield. I'm the Executive Director of Blue Ridge Legal Services. We're the nonprofit legal aid society that serves the Shenandoah Valley. We provide free legal assistance for low-income folks in civil, not criminal matters. We have an office in Lexington at 215 South Main. We help folks from Rockbridge County and surrounding area out of that office. I want to thank you for your previous support. I want to let you know what we did with your money last year. And I want to ask for your continued financial support at a very slightly higher level, if possible, as I'll explain. So last year, we provided free civil legal assistance to 86 low-income residents of Rockbridge County. We helped them with, we obtained 11 divorces. We helped one victim of domestic violence get an order of protection. We prevented 6 wrongful evictions. We helped one client file for bankruptcy. We helped one client get a guardian appointed for them. We helped 6 clients obtain custody of their children. We helped 3 clients obtain child support. We quashed a garnishment for one client. We helped one low-income veteran get VA benefits. We helped one tenant get repairs that were needed to their house done to bring it up to code. So in all, we helped 86 low-income Rockbridge residents. We brought in over $78,000 in financial benefit to these clients as a result of the legal work we provided. And that's in addition to any non-monetary benefit that we obtain for these clients, like a divorce that doesn't have a dollar amount necessarily attached to it. We estimate we spend about $86,000 to provide these services. And we're asking, again, for a very modest contribution from the county to help defray these costs. Every year we ask all of the localities in our service area, there's 25 cities and counties up and down our service area, for $1 per poor person based on the most recent census data that we have. And we figure that way it sort of spreads the request out fairly and equitably. And if every locality provides that funding, it really helps us out a whole lot. So the key to success is that every locality pays their fair share, very small fair share. So according to the 2017 census, there were 3,465 residents of Rockbridge County that were low income, living below the poverty line. That's an increase from a couple years ago. So as a result, we're asking for a contribution of $3,465, which is an increase of $685 over what we had been previously requesting based on the census. We appreciate what we're getting. If you can meet that funding formula goal, we would be most appreciative. I want to thank you for your support and for your consideration of our request. In addition, I want to thank each of you for your public service and all you do for the community and your neighbors. And in particular, I want to thank Mr. Day for the nice things he's done for his neighbors recently. Thank you.
all right. Thank you, John. We appreciate your time. So John, I've transitioned you to an attendee. And now I'm going to transition to the Rockridge Area Relief Association. And I saw Jen Handy was in here earlier. So let me. Here we go. Hey, Jen, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
We're doing great.
Great.
We can hear you just fine.
Doing great. Hopefully you don't hear small children yelling. My name is Jen Handy, and I am the director of the Rockbridge Area Relief Association. Even in the best of years when we come, we're talking about people living one incident away from poverty, from food insecurity from eviction kind of thing. Obviously, this last year has been very busy for us. And we anticipate it's going to stay busy for a while because of the economic kind of fallout from the pandemic is not going to go away the second we're vaccinated. I'm really proud of what we've been able to accomplish. We basically, in March, closed our doors on one Friday afternoon, and on Monday morning, we opened as a drive-through, and we have been pivoting every single day to make sure we're staying safe. We've seen a pretty large increase in demand for food for a while. A lot of new families that would not have normally been coming to us, but trying to make ends meet. We increased our amount of food by over 25%. So we're at like 354 tons of food a year. We're still open. We started doing online ordering, deliveries to seniors and others who can't leave their home, doing some pickups. The shelter part, most of our area shelters that we work with went to a wait list or closed their actual shelters in March. So we transitioned to doing emergency shelters and motel vouchers. So our budget last year for $3,000 of emergency shelter, just in case to get someone before they get to a shelter, we probably spent about $25,000 to keep people safe. Hopefully that will get better. We keep trying to step up and meet need where it is. Every time there is an eviction moratorium, it's helpful, but we never really know what exactly is coming down the pike. Whenever there is additional funding, we try to use that first. So when they put additional money in the governor's rent and mortgage relief program, we're going to work with our partners to use that money first and bring that money into the county and then use our funds. We've started doing internet assistance for virtual learners and remote workers. So pretty much we're trying to pivot and meet basic needs as best we can. We're trying to plan going forward, but staying nimble. And we're really grateful for the work and the partnership y'all have had with us for that time. I feel like I could give a different presentation of what we're doing tomorrow, but we're kind of here and trying to pivot. Any questions?
No, Jen, thank you for your time. We appreciate you logging in.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Give me just a moment to transition you to attendee. And Gail, thanks for raising your hand. And let me transition you to a panelist.
Steve, who is this?
I apologize. This is Gail Brunk from the Valley Association of Independent Living, also known as VAIL. There she goes. Give us just a second, Gail. All right, Gail, we see you. Are you?
Okay. Greetings. Good evening. Thank you very much. I'm Gail Brunk with Valley Associates for Independent Living. Most of everyone knows me as Gail with VAIL. And I apologize for the background noise with COVID. We've done some multi-generational living. So I have extra dogs and a grandchild that I'm juggling while my daughter's still working. So I apologize. But I want to thank you for your consideration for Valley Associates for Independent Living. We've been operating in the Rockbridge area since 2000, and we are requesting funding for consideration of $2,000 under the Goal 2 of Safety Net for Citizens in Need due to circumstances beyond their control. And these circumstances range from accessibility in their home to understanding the new system that they have suddenly found themselves in, to understanding how to remain at home. As we get older, sometimes we acquire disabilities as well. So recognizing what our community supports are and how to access them and learning the options is really important. We partner with Valley Program for Aging Services for one of our programs called Options Counseling, where we work with people to understand all their options for long-term care We also work with all ages from, I say, pre-birth to death. I have had families call me when they get information that they are expecting a child with special needs, wanting to know how to begin planning. We help with the IEP process as well with the school systems. Vail provides energy share to individuals with disabilities who meet certain criteria. As you've heard tonight, and I'm sure we'll continue to hear, there are many great organizations that COVID has really impacted and that has intensified our needs all as communities. And during COVID, Vail has been able to mail masks. We actually started a sewing team in the office back when masks first became mandated and they were harder to find. And staff made over 200 masks and mailed them out throughout our entire service area. We continue to send masks out to individuals, gloves, hand sanitizer, the Lysol cleaning wipes that particularly during the first 8 months were really hard to find, working to keep the attendants and the individuals safe. Beyond direct service, Vail does technical assistance to help with Americans with Disabilities Act concerns and questions. We help people navigate those as well as businesses find positive resolutions. We do information and referral. And we also participated in working with the Virginia Department of Health to have individuals under the Consumer Directed Program who hire their own attendants, have their attendants be eligible to be included in the 1A group for the COVID vaccine and have submitted that list to the Department of Health. I just ask for your consideration for our request for $2,000. We also are known as an agency that can stretch a dollar pretty far. We are known for clipping coupons and finding the sales and just really working with a staff of 14 that serves 5 counties and 5 cities and serves over 500 individuals with direct service, as well as our information referral and other services that we provide. I thank you again for the opportunity to be before you. Thank you for your creativity and finding ways to allow us to still have a voice at the table. And I thank you for your service. Appreciate your consideration. Have a great night.
Thank you, Gail. We hope you have a great night too as well. So I'm going to go ahead and transition you to an attendee. And next up is Dabney Lancaster, Dabney S. Lancaster Community College, Dr. John Rainoni. And Dr. Rainoni, thank you for raising your hand. So I'm promoting you to panelist. We'll just give it a minute to flow in. There we go. And I'm going to request to start the video and ask to unmute. Okay.
Well, good evening, everyone. That little blip on the technology got me a little, but it's wonderful to see everyone. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak with you for a couple of minutes. As Steve said, I'm John Rainoni. I'm the president of Dabney Lancaster Community College. I've had the honor of serving as president now for 7.5 years. And I want to thank everyone and thank the county for the great work that you do. And we're really thrilled to be a partner with you. And I also want to thank you for your previous support. The great thing is that Dabney continues to grow in the Rockbridge region. Our programs and services are enhancing into more technical programs that we're offering in conjunction with Rockbridge County High School, including dual enrollment expansion. Dual enrollment, as our entire enrollment, represents 40% of our entire enrollment. And Rockbridge is one of our 2 largest dual enrollment schools. And the relationship, I had my regular meeting with the principals and superintendents this morning. And as you can imagine, I mean, us in higher ed or even in K through 12 is, it's certainly very interesting and things that they don't teach you this in president's school or superintendent schools or principals and everything. So we really treat it as that we're all in this together. And the students have been great. We also continue to expand. We will be expanding in the region in a physical space where we will actually be creating an advanced manufacturing and entrepreneurial center where we will be delivering machining skills and welding skills, maintenance mechanic. We will also offer a makerspace component as well as entrepreneurial space for aspiring entrepreneurs. We are a partner. We helped bring the Gauntlet program, which starts next week, to Rockbridge County last year, and it will be in its second year, and the support of the cities of Lexington, Buena Vista, and Rockbridge County. We also have great news because we are one of those rare institutions, even across the country, who has actually seen an increase in enrollment this past year during COVID. We're 22% up last summer. We were 6.5% up in the fall, and I expect that we will be approximately 2% up in the spring. That's really because of the dedication. I know that one of the previous speakers said that they shut down on a Friday and reopened in a different way on a Monday. We did a very similar thing, and our faculty and staff had to convert to virtual, as all K through 12 schools did, in about 2 days' notice. So there's two parts. I know I'm listed twice back to back. The first part is the funding that assists us to assist for the cost of the Rockbridge Regional Center that the 3 localities support. And the second part is our Dabney Promise Scholarship, which is last dollar funding for those individuals only from Rockbridge County who struggle with the funding of potentially getting a college education. Our request this year is asking to reinstate back to the fiscal year 19 of level funding. So that is a total between the two programs of $83,384. I want to thank you very much. I want to thank my work with Spencer and Steve. We're always on the phone talking with various types of things, and if there's anything ever that we can do, continue to do for Rockbridge County, just please let us know. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll look forward to any questions in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rainoni. Give me just a minute to transition you to an attendee. Okay, next on the list is the Rockbridge Area Recreation Organization. And it's Daryl Plogger is our point of contact, but I believe Raro has a budget meeting tonight or a meeting tonight. So he is not showing up as an attendee, which is understandable. So now I'm going to transition to Lime Kiln Theater, and that'll be Spencer McElroy. So Spencer, give me just a moment to transition you to a panelist. Okay, so Spencer, we can see you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Yep. Thanks, Spencer.
Thanks for having me. Nice to see all your faces. Spencer McElroy, Executive Director of Lime Kiln Theater. We're requesting $4,500 through the BCA's matching grant program. We've got a great history of working with you guys through that program, where, as you know, the funds are matched 1-for-1 through the Virginia Commission of the Arts. As you can imagine, 2020 was a rough year for Lime Kiln, as well as many others in our industry. Our earned income went from growing significantly year over year to zero. I was reminded that we actually did hold one event in 2020, the Tree Burn, which was a free event in January of 2020, but our concert series was canceled. And unfortunately, we were not the recipients of very much of the COVID relief yet. Although we're hopeful that the SBA shuttered venue grant will help us out. Although we have a few hurdles to cross there. But we would use this funding to continue our venue improvements. We're fortunate to operate relatively lean, and the year dark will not shut us down, but significantly impacted our continual plans and strategic plan as an organization to keep rebuilding the venue, which has been, since I became director 6 years ago, one of our main tasks, and been a primary reason we've been able to increase our attendance year over year. So these funds would go towards that, and our plans to reopen in 2021. It's going to be challenging for us to do so, and it may result in reduced capacity and probably increased costs to be able to hold safe socially distanced events if that's what we have to do. But we're working hard to make that happen. And I just want to stress the importance of our organization in the comeback, in that we continually draw around 75% of our audience from outside of Rockbridge County, and a third of those from out of state. And we all know that not only helps us, but will help a lot of other businesses when we can get that back up and running. I know we're all anxious to go see a concert. I can hardly remember what that's like, but we're hoping to get back up and running starting in May. And your assistance through this matching funds will be integral in our plans, and has consistently been, when you combine it with VCA's match, one of the larger grants that we get. So we thank you for that. And that's all that I have.
All right. Thank you, Spencer. Have a good evening.
You as well.
So next up is the Y, and that'll be Bobby Wagner. So stand by. Bobby, thanks for putting your hand up. I've asked you to start your video, and I'm sorry.
Hey there, can you hear me?
We can hear you. Yeah, there we go. We can see you now.
Hey. Hello, everyone. I'm Bobby Wagner. I'm the Executive Director of the Rockridge Area YMCA. It's good to see everybody, even if it is virtually. I just want to take a moment, and I will be brief and say thank you to the Board of Supervisors for your many years of support, and hopefully continued support as we continue to do very important work in our local community here. Everybody's, I'm sure, very familiar with the YMCA and the work that we do, particularly around childcare. It's no surprise that we closed down last year. We closed our doors to the public for 2 months and 22 days. I was counting. And even though we closed our doors to the public, we not once slowed down, took a breath, took a pause, took a break. We quickly adapted and realized that childcare was a critical need in our community for everybody, especially working parents, and flipped the YMCA into an emergency childcare center, which we had never done before. So we didn't totally know what we were doing, but we did it. And it was a huge benefit to the parents that needed it, especially the ones that needed to be at work. So we quickly launched from Camp Hope to full out summer camp at Central Elementary School. And then we launched enrichment centers for the first time ever in the history of our YMCA, as the schools moved to this hybrid learning curriculum that we're still on, in person, out of person. We launched 2 enrichment centers. We had those going until the end of December. We have bounced around from place to place because we're lucky enough to have a great community that has opened their doors to us. And recently in January, we launched a brand new preschool from scratch in a location beside the YMCA. A lot of these childcare programs are servicing the children in Rockbridge County. In addition to the childcare services, we continue to provide health and wellness and welfare to programs from infants up to aging adults. We have lots of seniors in our building, lots of active older adult programming. While we were shut down, we did things like senior wellness checks, grocery deliveries to our local seniors and things like that. So I will, like I said, be brief and just thank you all for your consideration of continued support to the YMCA. We are very, very grateful. And transitioning very briefly, because I'm not sure if I will still have internet, because it's very spotty where I'm at. I know the Chamber of Commerce is Tracy's going to be in here in a little bit. So I just want to recognize, as a board member for the Chamber, how important our local Chamber really is and how great they've been at adapting and still finding ways to support our local business community. So please consider funding them as well.
Right. Thanks, Bobby. Appreciate that. Hope you have a good evening. Bobby, I've transitioned you to an attendee. And next up on the list is Summer Enrichment Program. And they reached out to me and said they will not be in attendance for tonight's meeting. So next up is the Rockbridge Regional Fair and Expo. And I know Mr. Steve Hart, or Dr. Steve Hart was, there you are. Give me just a second to promote you, Steve. I'm not sure what happened there. It looks like Steve dropped off. Okay, there we go. Okay, so Steve, we can see you now.
Okay.
Okay, go
Can
ahead.
you hear me, sir?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. I always appreciate a promotion, especially if it comes to the pay raise. So like everybody else, really want to thank the board for what they do for us as an organization and for community. You know, in 2019, we did not have a fair for the obvious reasons, and we were happy to be able to return part of what the county had given us back to the county because we weren't going to use it. We are also grateful for what you've given us this year and will continue to do in the budget. And we are going to have a fair this year. We don't know exactly what it's going to look like because we don't know exactly what we're going to be permitted to do. But we have talked through various ways that we're going to do all the things that the fair does. We will have a pageant. We don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but we will have one. We have finished our expo categories and we've published those. So you'll be able to see those probably this week. So there's going to be an expo. There's going to be all the other things that are traditionally associated with the fair. You know that we've moved our venue down to Glasgow. We've been down, done a reconnaissance of that area, and it looks like it's going to be a great site for the fair and a great thing for that community as well. And so that's where we expect to be for the next several years. Ask for your continued support in 2022 at the same level. And it's really the county's support that allows us to continue to operate throughout the year and covers our basic overhead expenses of phone and internet and web and those types of things that we need to be able to operate. Of course, appreciate the county's sponsorship because one of the things that allows us to do is be covered under the county's insurance. And that's a huge financial savings to the fair to be able to do that so we don't have to purchase our own separate event insurance. That's all I have, subject to any questions.
All right. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it. Have a good night.
You too.
Okay, next up is for swimming. And Jolene Schwartzman is up, so thank you for raising your hand. I've just transitioned you to a panelist. And I've asked to start your video. And to unmute. So I think we're live. Go ahead, Jolene.
Hello, my name's Joellen Schwarzman. I'm a Rockbridge County resident. I'm also the president of the board of directors for Friends of Rockbridge Swimming. For Swimming is a registered 501c3 organization, and we oversee the operation of the Rockbridge Aquatic Center. We are a year-round pool, and we provide a wide range of programs to the public, which allows people of all ages and abilities in Rockbridge County to participate in aquatics activities. Despite the fact that we had to close as a result of governor order from March 16th to June 5th, we were able to position ourselves to reopen by creating an online reservation system, sanitization of the facility that allowed patrons to come in and swim and participate in classes in a safe manner. And as a result of that, we were able to service 259 individual members. 52% of those were Rockbridge County residents. And we had between 230 and 250 non-member daily users per month. We supported 4 swim teams this past year. And for the academic year 2019-2020, we provided a water safety instruction program to Maury River Middle School 6th graders. While we weren't able to do that program this fall, we hope as soon as the governor releases his executive order, we'll be able to continue with that program for our community. Is a support to RARO. This year we hosted the RARO Speed and Agility program, and we look forward to being able to collaborate with RARO going forward. This summer, the Lexington Municipal Pool was not slotted to open as a result of the pandemic, but thanks to Friends of Rockbridge Swimming's online reservation system and our quality management, we were able to open the pool. And as a result, we serviced over 50% of the people who came for either lap swim or family swim were Rockbridge County residents. This year, we're requesting the same amount as we requested last year, which is $15,000 from the county. And that is to support our operating budget so that we can continue to offer a safe environment for people to exercise, do aquatherapy, and also to have an outlet for stress during this pandemic. Our free Learn to Swim programs support our community and keep our residents and our children safe. And we thank you for your time, your past support, and we look forward to being able to partner with you in the future. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Joellen. And I apologize for mispronouncing your name.
Oh, that's quite all right. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Joellen, I've transitioned you to an attendee. And next up is Boxerwood. And I'm not sure if it's going to be Keterin or Elise or somebody else, but I'm going to go ahead and promote you to a panelist. And we'll just give it a minute to flow over to, let's see here. Okay. I can see Boxerwood Education. Can you hear us? Okay.
This is Elise Sheffield. I'm here.
There we go. We can hear you now.
Perfect. Thank you. Broadcasting in from the county hinterlands. As mentioned, thank you so much for having this opportunity to speak with you briefly. I am Elise Sheffield, the Education Director at representing Boxerwood Education Association this evening. I want to give you a quick, very quick background of what we do, what we are, what we've been doing, and where we're going. As most of you know, we are an environmental ed organization with a 15-acre teaching campus, otherwise known as our garden, open to the public. We have 10 part-time employees, many volunteers, and a mortgage. Our total annual operating budget is about $300,000 per year. And during the last year, since the pandemic, we have lost a year of program revenue. And yet we are able to, a year of program revenue, since our main work is working with our school friends. Yet we've been able to keep going thanks to a variety of support from a number of entities, including Rockbridge County. And at the very beginning here, I want to recognize the critical role the just finished year's jurisdictional allocation was to our capacities to keep serving, as well as some emergency cares funding that you directed through the community foundation that found its way to Boxerwood. Very, very helpful and visionary in what it was able to do and transformative at our work. So for the last 20 years of our operation, we basically have had one main pressing question that drives our work. And most basically it is, how can we help our community thrive? And this is a question, of course, that a number of our fellow nonprofits also ask in their own way. How can we help our community thrive? That's why you're here as well. And Boxerwood also, in its way, has a unique and important contribution in Rockbridge County. We promote environmental well-being. And of course, that's something that affects all of us, both now and in the future. And we do so, as you know, with two main ways. The first is we operate a free to the republic natural space, that garden, which, by the way, remained open throughout the pandemic without charge to families. And indeed, we have seen a lot of use of that facility in COVID times for restoration, recreation, solace, healing, de-stressing, all of that. We were able to maintain that, our facility, and also we continue to find ways to work with our school partners. Usually in a normal year, we have extensive outdoor learning partnerships with all area schools, including all schools with Rockbridge County Public Schools, all 17 preschools in our community. And that usually connects with about 2,800 children a year, including more than 1,200 Rockbridge County children and their families. In this usual robust partnership, which your funding helped grow and support before the pandemic, we really are looking at sort of two main goals, most basically for the younger children. No matter what their background is, we have a commitment to see and serve all of them. And to introduce them to the natural world, its joys, and our collective responsibilities. And it creates a lifelong foundation for learning, for recreation, and for stewardship. As the children grow older and we continue to work with them in our partnerships, more and more I'm realizing, particularly out of this last year, that at very core, in partnership with schools, we aspire to help the youth grow in knowledge of their own capacities as productive citizens, as people, as individuals who can make a difference even while young, particularly while working together, and that they are already a blessing to us and not a burden to the earth, right? And this is an investment in the society we all want to be part of, where we can feel we are all contributors. And we use the natural world as a way of that teaching. Before the pandemic, I remember two new initiatives that we launched. One was very briefly, we took 200 children from Maury River 7th grade out into the field the same day to 5 river parks in Rockbridge County, where they did stewardship action, planting, cleaning, while also doing recreation, paddling, fishing, hiking. Gathered up more than 300 pounds of trash, but it was in concert with the schools that these were citizens working together. Every 12-year-old in Rockbridge County had that experience last year. Think about that. We also convened our first Earth Fest Earth Summit for middle school kids, bringing in kids from both Lilburn and Maury River together for the first time prior to high school to share common concerns, ideas, and actions around caring for the Woods Creek watershed, which resulted this fall in planting more than 100 trees in partnership with Kendall Retirement Community right along Woods Creek right outside in the county. The point is that these are values, of course, to students and schools, but it's also a value to Rockbridge County. Both the two stories I mentioned to you were highlighted in regional television, promoting Rockbridge County as a place of innovation and commitment to both youth and the natural world that sustains us. So these are just some of the examples. It's an honor to do that work with your partnership. But in the short term, now we are in the pandemic. And so we actually have had 2 more questions to bring to us, and I'll address this briefly, and then I'll be done. How do we help our community thrive in a pandemic? That we all had to sort of switch to that new way of thinking. And we were able to stay responsive and adaptive. Since this fall or even the summer, we've attended to 3 main needs that we saw in the community that we could address. First was family well-being. As I mentioned, we kept our grounds open to families. We created some projects for stewardship for them together. We sought for a way to extend just the presence of beauty in people's lives this very difficult year. And that's something that really you can't put a price on, right? We're also very tuned into youth well-being. And with our partnerships with schools suspended for right now, we turned to new partners. We worked closely with Bobby Wagner at the YMCA, Annie LaPere, to create enrichment opportunities for all the students the Y was serving in their emergency centers and their enrichment centers. We went to those centers and provided outdoor learning 4 times a week throughout the fall, and hope to do so again in the spring. You might have seen some other opportunities. We did highlight in the News Gazette, hiking clubs, programs at Boxerwood. So we've stayed agile and sensitive what families and kids need to what we could do with who we are. And last, we have had schools and teachers reaching out to us to help as they shift to a virtual and hybrid environment to teach nature-based learning. How does that happen? We've been providing materials and teacher coaching and moral support as we can. But at the same time, we were very conscious that we wanted to think long-term. And so as an organization committed to serving community, we've also at the same time been asking, how do we help our community thrive post-pandemic in the next normal? What new needs will there be in addition to what we are already doing? And how can Boxerwood support that? So I want to share with that for the last minute with you, because I want you to understand that we are not staying in place, we're moving. And which just seems kind of counterintuitive in the middle of a pandemic, but we're moving, we're rooting, and we're growing. And we're growing in a couple of ways. We certainly anticipate partnering again with schools in the upcoming year, although we don't know what kind of revenue will come from that because of the school situation. But at the same time, we'll find a way. We're also working to fine tune our curriculum and teacher development so the programs are more impactful, integrate virtual learning more in our offerings. But second, beyond the school programs, we're kind of developing 2 new branches of Boxerwood broadly in the context of education. We're creating new funding mechanisms for accelerating conservation projects in Rockbridge County. We'll talk more about that some other time. More ways to engage people in tree planting, solarizing low-income homes, and doing a lot of additional green project work in our county. And last, and very excitingly, we have a planning grant in hand, a federal planning grant in hand, to explore the possibility of serving as a new local conduit for recruiting and placing full-time direct service AmeriCorps members within local nonprofits, including Boxwood, but not ending at Boxerwood. And these members, starting in year 2022, would help us build capacity in serving the needs of youth and youth development. So I'm closing. My main point is your support for Boxerwood moves and grows. I invite you to consider an investment, and it's an investment that is already bringing new economic benefits, new educational benefits, and new environmental benefits to our community. And so it's a really win-win-win partnership. And we thank you for your vision to understand that and really appreciate your support and encouragement. And thank you.
Thank you, Elise. Let me go ahead and transition you to an attendee. All right, next up is the Rockbridge Regional Library, and I'm going to go ahead and bring up Julie Goyette and Gail Hislop. So stand by.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Thanks. Hello, I'm Julie Goyette, Director of Rockridge Regional Library System, and our address is at 138 South Main Street, Lexington. I'm here with Gail Heslop. Gail is a trustee on the library board representing Rockridge County, and she has something to share with you.
Okay, let's see. There we go. There we go. I want to thank the board for the opportunity to speak and to share a little bit. The library staff is always happy to receive messages from our patrons, particularly the written messages for things that we have done right. And especially during this very difficult COVID time, we received a very inspiring letter that I would like to share with you. It begins, "To the people of my favorite library. Please accept this check in payment of my fines and add the rest to your bank account. Our community is so much richer for your being here. I've been coming to the library for more than 40 years. I can tell you that it did not matter what money was in my pocket when I entered the library with my children and my husband. We were always richer when we walked out the door. Your books contributed to many happy memories for us when our children were growing up. A love of books and stories is not dependent on your material wealth. That is, if you have a public library. All have the opportunity to learn, grow, laugh, cry. In this time of COVID, the fact that the library is still available to us in whatever way is safest has been such a help to so many. I have two brothers whose health is compromised, but they were still able to keep company with books. Thank you for all you provide to our community. I value each and every one of you. Stay safe. We need you." And as a postscript to this letter, her fines were $7.60. Her check was for $125. The timing of this letter was just amazing. Great kind words at the end of a really hard year. And of course, the extra change is always welcomed. Thank you. I'll turn it back to Julie.
Thank you, Gail. I want to thank the Board of Supervisors for your continuing support of the library system. Your annual appropriation makes it possible for us to provide much needed services, classes, programs across our region. For fiscal year 2022, we are requesting $609,205. This is up 9% from the 10% cut to our fiscal year 2021 budget. This allocation will allow us to cover the 9% increase in health coverage, 2 maintenance projects, the roof in Lexington and the men's bathroom in Glasgow, and a 3% wage increase for staff. Rockbridge Regional Library serves the counties of Rockbridge and Bath, the cities of Buena Vista and Lexington, and smaller communities throughout the region with outreach services in 5 locations: Buena Vista, Glasgow, Goshen, Lexington, and Warm Springs. All locations share collections, and with our 4-day delivery service between branches, this means if you live in Glasgow and you want a book from Bath, you can pick it up usually within 1 to 2 days. Even during COVID-19, Rockbridge Regional Library System continues to provide value to the communities we serve. We increased our digital collection to allow for more downloading of materials. We adapted our classes and programs to work online. In fact, tonight we are offering the first of 2 panel discussions on the impact of educators of color in our community. Outreach staff continue to make comfort calls to our homebound patrons and deliver materials to homes to eliminate the gatherings at community stops. Virtual story times started soon after the news of COVID-19. Using GoPro cameras, Facebook Live, and help from family, library staff turned story rooms into sets, complete with lighting. Story times continued with readings, songs, and special visitors. The segment Who's at My Window reminded little ones of the importance of maintaining social distance, while the hand washing song became especially popular. As for older children, Makers Clubs continue with children registering for bag supplies ready for curbside pickup. Participants then follow along with the program on Facebook Live. These are just a few of the things that we're able to pivot to during this time of COVID. Thank you again for your support.
All right, thank you, Julie and Gail. I'll go ahead and transition you to attendees. Okay, next up is Talking Books, and I see Mr. Chardins is on, so let me transition you to panelists. So in just a minute. Okay, we can see you.
All right. Hi, my name is Ilea Desjardins, and I'm the Talking Book Center supervisor. The Talking Book Center provides free audiobooks and other library services and resources to persons who are blind, print disabled, or unable to use standard print materials. We actually operate through the US mail, so we've been open for the entire 2020 year. Basically what happens, our patrons receive an audiobook in the mail, and it just goes back into their case. The only place they have to go is their mailbox at the end of the driveway. They ship it back to us, and we send them a new book. And their book fits right in their audio player. Very large, chunky buttons, very easy to use. Our oldest patron was 103, and she used the service by herself. So because we've been open this whole time, we've not been eligible for any CARES Act funding, which is unfortunate. But we've had some very generous donations from local citizens. Our product is not consumable, so we can actually we could add an extra like 50 patrons, and it would still be maintain the same exact service that our patrons are used to. And so our patrons are blind, print disabled, low vision, anything like arthritis that would hurt turning pages of a book, they would all be eligible for. And we operate under the National Library Service for the blind and print disabled, which is a federal program. So they send us the pre-recorded books, and then we work to send those books to our patrons. A lot of them are in remote areas, so they're not able to get out into drive to the local libraries. And in addition to the audiobooks, we've actually written monthly newsletters, which are just a very simple piece of paper. It's 14-point font, which is legally able to be sent through the mail. And we add information about the different COVID vaccines that they're eligible for. We had information about RATS, RARA, and VPASS, the Meals on Wheels program, which a few of our patrons did sign up for. 69% of our patrons are over the age of 65. So they have been quarantining for quite some, almost a year now. So they get their talking books and they're able to listen, and it really provides a good quality of life service for them. And we're always just a phone call away, and we do talk to a lot of people too, just to pass the time. So it's just a really great service, and we appreciate you funding us for since 1981. It's been. So thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Aliyah. Appreciate it. So let me transition you to attendee. And next up is Natural Bridge Soil Water Conservation District. And I don't see any names that I was anticipating for that organization. And so we'll go ahead and transition to the CSPDC. I see Bonnie's got her hand raised. Thank you. We promote you to panelist. Okay, Bonnie, we can see you. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Thank you, Steve. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Bonnie.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to present our FY21 budget. I'm Bonnie Riedesel. I'm the Executive Director with the Central Shenandoah Planning District Commission. Our PDC is one of 21 PDCs across the Commonwealth. We were created by the General Assembly 50 years ago. Our mission is to serve our local governments with high quality planning services, technical assistance, grant writing, and funding identification, project development, and grant administration. Our PDC serves the 5 cities, 5 counties, and 11 towns in our region. Of course, Rockbridge County being one of those. Rockbridge County is a member of our Board of Commissioners, and Mr. Jay Lewis and Mr. Chris Slayton serve on our board representing Rockbridge County. We've been working with Rockbridge County for many, many years, 50 years to be exact, on multiple community and economic development projects, too numerous to mention here tonight. From the Buck Hill Community Improvement Project that I worked on 24 years ago to the South River Flood Mitigation Project after Hurricane Isabel. But I'd like to highlight a couple of projects that the PDC has been involved in more recently. One of them, the Greenhouse Village Housing Project, where we helped the county apply for over $500,000 in CDBG funds to develop water, sewer, and roads. And we partnered with Rockridge Habitat for Humanity to build over 30 new affordable homes in the Greenhouse Village neighborhood. That grant has closed out, but Habitat for Humanity is still continuing to build houses in that neighborhood. Another recent project was a ramp certified welding program in Glasgow. Brandy Flint on your staff was instrumental in working with us to get that project funded with Go Virginia funds. The project closed out in September, but during that time, they were able to train over 40 students that were hired by 15 different companies with an average wage of over $45,000 a year. We also help staff and facilitate your Rockbridge Outdoors Recreation Partnership, where over 30 organizations in the area come together to plan and market the region's tremendous outdoor recreation assets that you have. We were also helpful in getting some funding to keep that planning work going. And finally, the project that I'm most proud of is the $2.2 million in body broadband funds that we were able to garner for Rockbridge County. The service is being provided by Bark Electric, and it's going into several unserved areas of the county. I think Spencer can attest to the fact that we fought long and hard to get that money into the county, and it is finally starting to pay off. We also work in the 2 towns, Glasgow and Goshen. In Glasgow, we're currently working with the town on a business revitalization planning grant and a multi-use trail. In Goshen, we're working with Bark Electric again on a broadband project where we help them secure some funding through the Appalachian Regional Commission, $1 million to bring broadband into the town. And we're in early discussions with the town of Goshen on a multi-use community center. Our budget request is level funding. We're asking for $29,000. $9,000 is to match an ARC grant. Is to match an ARC grant. The other is based on a per capita assessment, but this is level funding to what we ask year after year of the county, and it is so appreciative. What we're able to do with your dollar that you give us is we're able to leverage $61 in other state and federal funds. So we are able to match grants, go after grants, and leverage your funds to be able to put back into your community. I'd like to thank the Rockbridge County Board of Supervisors for their past support and our excellent working relationship with you and your staff. And I thank you for your time, and I hope everyone has a good evening.
Thank you, Bonnie. We hope you have a great evening as well.
Thank you, Steve. Good night.
Good night. We transition you to attendee. Right, next up is the tourism program. So Jean Clark. So Jean, I promoted you to a panelist. Let's give it a second to refresh. There you are.
Hey,
Hey, Jean.
how are y'all? You know, I usually wait to be the last one out every year because I like hearing everybody else's stories and what they do and all the special things that all the different organizations do to make our community what it is today. But Steve suggested we go in alphabetical order, so here I am. So I'm going to do my best to not want to be the cow's tail tonight. You know, this time last year, like everybody else, we were riding high. We were thinking ahead, and tourism revenues throughout the Commonwealth were the best they'd ever been. And we've gotten our 2019 numbers. Well, we got them several months ago, and I think we shared them with all of our board members, which I hope shared them with you. But for 2019, tourism revenue reached $185.9 million in Lexington, Buena Vista, and Rockbridge County, and was responsible for over 1,400 jobs. And we view what we do as a destination marketing organization as a jumping off point for folks moving here, living here, spending their money here, but a way that we can bring money in that stays in the community and helps foster that. Some of our biggest hits this year was once we got our head wrapped around what was going on, we moved to a couple programs. One was like 15 seconds in Rockbridge County, which is short videos on social media. It may be croakers in the pond, or it might be a cow mooing, but it was just things to kind of bring people's blood pressure down. From that, we moved into several other advertising campaigns, dreaming about what's coming next. And then we moved into something, our big campaign for the year, which was small towns, big backyards. And our big backyard was real important to us this past year. Our big backyard brought lots of people from all over the place, especially across the Commonwealth. And some of our outdoor attractions had their largest years ever, from the state park to the Virginia Safari Park to Dinosaur Kingdom 2. I mean, it was just, folks were everywhere. If you lived on the southern part of Rockbridge County, you know that the river was full of folks floating and fishing. And it was just nice that people had a place to get out to. We worked with the state park on their Kids Discovery Trail, on the Love Letter sign. We developed a program called PACT, Protecting All Citizens and Travelers, as a way to help folks know that we were taking COVID precautions seriously and to help them navigate places that were going the extra mile here in our communities. We worked with, in our regional programs, the Shenandoah Valley Tourism Partnership, which is 14 localities from here to Winchester. We launched a new website and an ad campaign called Limitless Boundaries. We worked with the Shenandoah Beer Works Trail and some really cute videos, and I hope you've seen some of those. We're happy to have Heliotrope and Rockbridge Brewery on tap with us. I didn't mean that pun, but that's pretty cute. And our water trail work was a huge success. The rivers were full of people this summer, and we were happy to have the rivers for them. We applied and were granted 2 small grants from Virginia Tourism Corporation. And with the latest round of stimulus funding, we are working with the City of Lexington, our fiscal agent, to apply for some PPP funding that will carry us forward. If you remember, this time last year at this meeting, we were talking about what our budget was going to be, and with just a few short months, we were having long discussions about how can we trim that back some. So we took a 20% cut across the board and are inching our way back up. That took us about 8 years back in our funding revenues. And what you see right now in our community, and we hosted a huge FAM tour that actually ended on Friday or Thursday, March the 13th. And we were all meeting up in Richmond, everybody from the Valley, in Stanton, everybody from the Valley, a team going back to Richmond that worked in destination development and communications. And that's when everybody's phones started pinging. The governor was pulling the plug on a lot of travel and movement across the state. So those were all things that just, we had things in place that we could continue to be successful. And a couple of the best days came this fall with the scouting for the Project Dope Sick, which is filming now in Allegheny County and Clifton Forge, but the cast and crew are all staying right here in Lexington and Rockbridge County and are enjoying our restaurants and shopping in our shops. I think the cold weather was a little too much for Michael Keaton. He was out looking for some warmer clothes this weekend. Happy to hear that. Happy to hear the buzz and people excited about what's going on. The other best days were 2 days I spent in October doing some scouting work for a PBS cooking series. They haven't really announced the location for that yet. I don't think will be a final destination, but it's always fun to have those projects to work on. I want to finish up by talking about our relationships with our other organizations, with Main Street Lexington, with the economic development offices in all 3 jurisdictions, as well as the Chamber of Commerce, and how we all try to band together to find commonalities that we can raise up for the Rockbridge region. And a lot of folks don't understand what we do as the destination marketing organization. And what we really attempt to do is to market our region, our brand of Rockbridge County outside the borders, and to bring folks in, primarily spend the night, eat our food, shop in our stores, and enjoy what we get to enjoy every day. We had a little presentation for everybody in the Valley a couple of weeks ago, and one of my colleagues in Shenandoah County ended up her part of the presentation with what I'm going to read to you now. And it might sound a little bit trite, but it all works together. If you build a place where people want to visit, you have built a place where people want to live. And if you build a place where people want to live, you've built a place where they want to work. If you build a place where people want to work, you've built a place where a business wants to be. And if you build a place where a business wants to be, you've built a place where people want to visit. So it all comes full circle, right back to that initial visit. And how many times we heard the story about someone who's moving here, who just pulled off the interstate to get gas and thought, this is a cute place, and says, I'm going to be here forever. One of my favorite stories was a couple of years ago, Sally Mann called and said, hey, I need some photos from you, which I died laughing because, Sally's the photographer, but she was telling that story in an NPR program that she was doing at, Anyway, one of the Ivy League schools, she was doing this great program, and she was talking about the community where she came from. So anyway, I am just pleased to be part of your program and be a partner with you folks, and appreciate you listening to me this evening. And thank you. Thanks a bunch.
All right. Thank you, Jean. Appreciate it. So Jean, I'm going to transition you to a attendee. And next up is the chamber. Tracy, thanks for raising your hand. Let me promote you to panelist. Let's give it a second. All right, Tracy, we can see you. Go ahead.
Good one. Thank y'all so much for having me tonight. I know this is always something I look forward to. I echo what Jean said, and it's great to just hear from all of our organizations and all the cool things they're doing, especially this year. It's been an interesting year for all of us, I know. The Chamber is no exception, I think, to that rule. We have had, it's been an interesting year for the business community, and I want to thank you all for your support for our businesses. Your EDA has been tremendous in supporting and giving back and making sure that, our place stays the best place to do business. It's where people want to live. It's where they want to raise their families. And it's a great business climate. With that aside, when COVID hit in March, we knew that we had to pivot and figure out a way to help our members, help our businesses, and make sure that ultimately they remained in business and that they were here and a viable option for people many years down the road. We pivoted our operations. We took everything online. We gave them the training, the education they needed. We held their hands through grant funding. We wrote hundreds of letters for applications. We partnered with Jean and our EDAs and our Main Streets to establish some local funds for our businesses and our nonprofits. And, I think all of that showed what a strong community we were. And it was nice to be able to be part of that. Ultimately for the Chamber, we were happy to help support the businesses. Our goal was to help them get the funds they needed to remain in business so they could pay their chamber dues. That's how we thrive. We are a membership organization. And so many of them were able to. We did see a number of businesses close their doors this year. I'm afraid we're going to see some more as it gets into our colder months. And we saw probably a 20% dip in our members over this past year. Not terrible, but a significant number more than we normally would lose in a year. With that coupled without any events this year, we saw, I'd say, at least a $30,000 to $40,000 deficiency in our income coming in. And so it's been an interesting year for us. As a 501c6, we haven't been able to apply for much funding. We were thrilled, recently, a couple weeks ago, we are working with our lender on some PPP loans, and hopefully that can come through to support us and keep us here. We have been working, like Jean said, with all our partners and working on, creating this place, a community where people want to be. It's where people want to open new businesses. It's where entrepreneurs want to thrive. It's where people want to raise their families. And like she said, it's amazing to see the people that come here and they want to stay here. And we want to make sure that we have the things that they want. And so we're trying to create that healthy business community, the healthy community environment for them to thrive in. So we're asking for your support to help us do that, to keep us open and our doors open. We have some big plans for economic development initiatives, working as a community to bring more business here, bring more employers here. We know workforce has been a huge topic. We're continually trying to meet those needs as they evolve, especially with COVID and looking at what the industries are like. But yeah, we're also looking to hopefully expand. You heard from Dabney earlier in their new workforce center. It's always been our plan to want to open and have a location somewhere else outside of downtown Lexington. We're hopeful that we'll be able to be in their workforce center as a small office, some shared workspace, something where people can see our presence and meet us there. And we can also help, meet other ends of the county. And so we just thank you for your support, and especially your EDA has been tremendous this year. So thank you for that. And we look forward to just moving along and creating the best business climate we can. So thank you all.
Thank you, Tracy.
Thanks.
And Tracy, I've transitioned you to an attendee. And next up is the Shenandoah Valley Partnership. And so that'll be Dr. Jay Langston. So thank you for raising your hand. And I just promoted you to panelist. And I've asked you to start your video if it's available. Okay, I think you're on, Dr. Langston.
Thank you very much. It is a pleasure to be here. I'm Jay Langston. I'm the Executive Director of the Shenandoah Valley Partnership, your regional economic development organization. Our budget request is the annual contribution for us. I will not repeat a lot of what you just said, because Tracy and Jean did a very good job of explaining some of the activities that we engage with them on, as well as the outreach for helping educate, site location consultants, companies from all over about the opportunities here in the Shenandoah Valley. And we're taking a much more collaborative approach for economic development than traditionally has been done in the past. And as an example, we have transitioned very quickly into the virtual presence, are doing familiarization tours virtually, lunch and learns, even our economic development forums, which our last one, our winter forum, was at White's Travel Center in Rockbridge, so that we could talk about the opportunities to work, live, and play. Tracy, Jean, Brandy, Christina Ramsey from Buena Vista were all our guests to talk about those opportunities. Fortunately, 2020 was an unexpectedly, surprisingly good year for economic development in the Valley. We had, if not the second highest in investment in jobs announcements, we were close. It was either that second or third. And we're entering 2021 in a very strong position with a lot of activity. Overall, unemployment has dropped down to 4.5%. We are continuing to receive leads from various sources about new opportunities looking at the Valley. We are also fortunate to be working with Brandy on assisting her with an existing company in Rockbridge County, which we hope to have an announcement on very soon. So with that, we'll end it quickly, and I'm available for any questions should you have some, and I'm happy to reply offline as well.
All right, thank you, Jay, appreciate that. I'm going to go ahead and transition you to an attendee. And next up is the Small Business Development Center, and that's Joyce Kreck. So Joyce, let me promote you to panelist. Let's give it a second. There we go. I'm going to ask you to start your video if you have it. And if not, I'm asking if you, there you go.
Yeah, there we go. Hi.
Hey.
Thank you for allowing me to speak this evening. My name is Joyce Kreck. I'm the director of the Shenandoah Valley Small Business Development Center. So with that name, we just call ourselves the SBDC. Takes up a lot less room on our name tags. Our funding request this year is level funding from prior years. Last year, there was a 10% reduction. That's why you might see 2,700, but our request stays consistent with what we've done for quite a number of years at 3,000. For those of you that aren't familiar with the Small Business Development Center, we have been serving the Central Shenandoah Valley for 30 years, 31 now, I guess. We are part of a national organization called America's Small Business Development Centers, meaning that there are SBDCs like ours all across the country doing essentially the same service for their localities. We are a resource partner to the Small Business Administration, the federal program. So they call us sort of their feet on the ground, their faces in the communities. When the federal legislation changes and the SBA changes, as it has a number of times this year, we are there to make sure that the small businesses and the medium-sized businesses in our communities understand what's coming about. When those things aren't going on in a non-COVID year in regular times, we serve that community of small and medium-sized businesses as advisors. Our consulting services, are at no fee to our businesses. That is due to our funding streams, which I'll talk about a little bit more. And they are always confidential so that any business can talk to an SBDC advisor and know that the conversation, their finances, their struggles, and their triumphs remain confidential in that SBDC office unless the client specifically gives us permission to talk about it. So what does the SBDC do? We meet with businesses all the time, every day, to discuss their issues, their problems, their challenges, and try to provide them some expert guidance. We like to consider that what they are receiving is practical information, expert information, and guidance to make the right decisions for their business or for a startup, if that's where they're coming from, so to speak. We work with some of the folks you just had the privilege of hearing, from the chambers of commerce in our region to tourism, the Planning District Commission, the Shenandoah Valley Partnership. All of these folks are partners to us in our work in serving the community. A year ago in March, when a lot of things were shutting down, the SBDC was busier than ever. We saw and talked with more clients between March 15th and April 15th than in some years that we've done. And that was due to the immediate needs of the shutdowns that were required with so many businesses, especially the hospitality and food, restaurants and such. So we were working with them on their EIDL loans, on their PPP loans. I'm sure you've heard these acronyms, PP1 and PP2 now. So our advisors work hand in hand with our business owners to make sure that their applications are accurate, that they're getting the right materials together, that they're pulling the right documents together to make good and speedy applications. So the COVID year has been a challenge for all SBDCs across the country, but we have risen to that challenge, I'm very proud to say, and have helped an extremely large number of businesses all through the central Shenandoah Valley. We serve, as I said, central, from Rockbridge County north to Page, and Bath and Highland. So I like to tell my colleagues that I have 2 mountain ranges and the most beautiful regional service in the state of Virginia to serve. One of the aspects that the Small Business Development Center brings to our businesses that is not as commonly known are the range of resources that we can put in front of a business that they otherwise would not be able to tap into. So some examples of that are discounts on QuickBooks or Constant Contact, which is a very popular email service, industry research through a database called IBIS World that is by subscription. The state SBDC holds that subscription so that any of our clients can take advantage of industry research, industry benchmarks, and general knowledge about where their business fits into that market share. Some of the other services are ICAP, which is Innovation Commercialization Assistance Program, a Virginia SBDC initiative that works specifically with inventors, entrepreneurs, innovators. They can be in business or starting a new business and want to see if their idea, if their invention, if their new process is commercially viable. And the ICAP program, again, a free program to the business, can work with them directly to explore that customer market share and what might be possible for a new, as I said, a new product or a new process. Another option that we use, and it would be totally appropriate for Rockbridge, is the hub zone services that are available through the federal government. And because of our work with the Small Business Administration, we have that information available to our clients. Excuse me, something's beeping. Something's always beeping these days. And then finally, just the, as I said, the partnerships with our chambers, with our other resource partners, both here in the Valley as well as across the state, so that our advisors have at their backs 70 other advisors in the state of Virginia, as well as 1,000 in the country, who, if we need expertise on a particular type of business or a particular challenge, we know who we can turn to, not just our local partners, but our national colleagues that are facing similar challenges or have dealt with it before. So I thank you again for allowing me to speak. I'm very happy to answer questions now or offline by email or phone. And I appreciate your time and your dedication to Rockbridge County and the needs of its businesses. I want to just end with what Jean ended with, and I thought that was a very appropriate reasoning that she gave in her little reading, and that when you talk about building businesses and what that means, it does mean that this is where people want to live. It's where they want to work. It's where they want to raise their families. And that's what our goal is to help people build their businesses, grow and prosper, and have a satisfying and meaningful life here in the Shenandoah Valley, which is my home, and I hope everyone else's for a long time. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Joyce. Appreciate the presentation. I'm going to go ahead and transition you to an attendee.
Mm-hmm.
And then for those that are still participating and attending, we're going to transition actually back to the top to the Rockridge SPCA. I've got Tara on the roster, and I want to just thank CertiCap's Lauren Mason for letting Tara jump in here, because I know Tara's got an appointment or a commitment here shortly. So Tara, I promoted you to panelist. I've asked you to start your video if you have that capability. And then I've just asked you to unmute.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you, Tara. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for letting me jump in. And good evening. I'm Tara Rohde with the Rockbridge SPCA. We did see an unusual year this past year with fewer animals coming into the SPCA. Luckily, we were able to keep up our adoptions, working with our rescues and getting the animals out that were coming in. We are open, we're open 6 days a week now, but staffed 7 days a week. We closed on Mondays with fewer animals, but we do have staff here at the shelter from 9 to 12, and then also from 3 to 4 to assist with animal control if needed. We remained open always during through the pandemic. First, it was by appointment. And it's asking me to start the video. You got that? All right. First, it was by appointment, but now we're open just regular business hours and people are coming in. We did have 90 volunteers sign up to help us this past year, when we normally have about 300. So we were down there. We had 5,000, normally 5,000 people that come through the SPCA, but we only had about 26 visitors that came through this past year. We were able to keep up our low-cost spay and neuter program and transport, only canceling 2 months last year. We provided transportation to 93 dogs and cats to get a spay and neuter appointment. We've kept the shelter staff busy with some projects for the staff to do. We did a paint the kennel project that was funded by the Community Foundation. The staff painted 35 kennels here at the shelter. And the staff has also been doing food drives. We did 4 food drives to help people with dog and cat food. We assisted and helped 107 families, fed over 150 dogs and 157 cats with our food drive. And we plan to continue to do the food drive in the future as well. We are still going forward with all of our fundraisers. Our Texas Hold'em tournament was canceled for February, but we will be doing a Cocktails for a Cause with Lexington Golf and Country Club to hopefully make that up. Our rabies clinic this year will be by appointment. And our animal adventure camp is in the works. So we're planning on still doing our camp this summer. And then our golf tournament is scheduled for July. And we will hopefully be doing our luminaries in person this upcoming year. We did have some virtual events we had to do through the pandemic with the luminaries and an auction that we did. But hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll continue to be able to do all of our events. We did see about 6 after-hour emergencies. So sometimes in the wee hours, we'll get called in for something that's happened late at night with an emergency for a dog or cat. And Dr. Logan at the Well Pet Group is our after-hour emergency doctor on call for that situation. Law enforcement does know to contact him when needed. Rockbridge County's portion of the budget came to $191,947. That was based off 1,230 dog days and 2,406 cat days. We had a save rate of 93% for our dogs and 80% for our cats. And we thank you for your continued support, and we enjoy providing shelter service for you.
All right. Thank you, Tara. I hope you have a good evening.
Thank you. You too.
So I'm going to go ahead and transition you to an attendee. And then next up is the Southeast Rural Assistance Project, also known as SERCAP. And Lauren, again, I appreciate your flexibility. I've promoted you to a panelist, and let's just give the system a second to refresh. I've just asked you to start your video. And there you go.
Good evening, all. My name is Lauren Mason. I'm the planning manager with Southeast Rural Community Assistance Project, or SERCAP. And we've already heard so many folks speak that I'll keep this short, but I do want to tell you a little bit about the important work that SERCAP does. Our mission is to improve the quality of life for low-income individuals by promoting affordable water and wastewater facilities, community development, environmental health, and economic self-sufficiency. We work towards achieving our mission by providing training, technical, and financial assistance to both low to moderate income homeowners and individuals, and to rural communities. We particularly work with water, wastewater utilities, providing technical assistance and financial assistance. Most recently in Rockbridge County, we have worked with, in the town of Glasgow, we provided financial and technical assistance to provide wastewater lateral replacements for low to moderate income homeowners to get them connected to upgraded public wastewater system. We also, we provided some financial assistance to the Greenhouse Village project that was previously mentioned by the PDC, where we also provided water sewer line connection fees for low to moderate income homeowners. Now more than ever, it is critical that all of our citizens have access to clean, safe water for cleaning, drinking, and cooking. And so despite whatever the current environment might be, when someone's well goes out, their well goes out, and they need assistance to get their well back up online. If the local water utility, if their pump breaks, they need assistance to get that pump back up online so that they can still provide clean, reliable water service to all of the customers, all the folks connected to that water utility. So SERCAP has been hands on the ground helping people to get the technical assistance and financial assistance they need to make sure that they have clean, safe drinking water and environmentally sound wastewater facilities. So we really appreciate Rockbridge County's support in the past, and we are requesting a $5,000 contribution just to help us to be able to continue to provide technical and financial assistance to the residents of Rockbridge County. Thank you so much for your support in the past, and thank you for your time. And I look forward to receiving questions from you in the future and getting back to you as soon as possible.
All right. Thank you, Lauren. Appreciate it. Have a good evening.
Thank you. You too.
So I'm going to go ahead and transition you to attendee. And at this point, this is everybody that we had anticipated. Again, I just want to express my appreciation for everybody's flexibility in meeting via Zoom, and just wish everybody safety as the next days and weeks and months move ahead. So, Mr. Suter, I don't know if you have any comments to wrap things up for staff.
The only comment I have is nice job, Steve. Good handling, and thank you, Stefan, for making all this possible.
I was going to comment that you've done a really great job managing the meeting.
Yeah, having done it before, it's a lot to think about. So thank you.
So with that, this is a time for the board to make any comments or questions for staff. And if there are none, I know Dr. Lyons has just some final comments.
Just want to thank everyone that presented and thank the staff for their hard work, and remind the board members that you heard a lot of people request level funding. And if you look at the paper, there's a difference. But remember, last year we cut everybody 10%. So when they say level funding, they're meaning what they requested, not necessarily what they received last year. Are there any comments for any other board members?
No.
All right, hearing none, then this concludes our scheduled budget meeting number 1. We appreciate your attendance and for the information provided tonight. The board's finance committee will be meeting over the next 2 weeks to further review and develop a draft budget for the full board to consider. Our next scheduled budget meeting is on Thursday, February 25th, beginning at 5:30 in this room. The county administrator and physical service director will present the draft FY 2022 budget to the Board of Supervisors. And at this time, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion. I need a second.
I'll second.
And we have a second. Okay, Mr. Day.
Yes.
Ms. Ayers.
Yes.
Mr. McDaniel.
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. We stand adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
That went much better than I thought it was going to.
Yeah.
Really.
It went surprisingly well.
Yeah.
Steve did a great job.
Thank you.
Oh, I wasn't talking about them.